Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 16, The Storm. Spoilers ahoy if you have not seen this episode yet. I recommend that you go watch it. And so here we go, right into what's going on. So this episode takes place a while, like a couple months probably, after the previous episode. We see kind of the aftermath of everything that went on there. The kingdom has fallen, and so we join them as Michonne has presumably traveled to them to lead them back to Hilltop and then Alexandria. I assume that Hilltop is between Kingdom and Alexandria, for that to make sense. But also then we find out that Sanctuary is between Kingdom and Hilltop. So they're like in a sort of a line, I guess. If that makes the most sense of where to go during a storm. But then also the border to that's been delineated by Alpha is also somewhere between where the river, I don't know. There's some geography that's somewhat outlined in this episode, but it's still not exactly clear. The point is that they end up having to cross into that territory during this huge storm. All the people from Kingdom, because they can't just be stuck there for days and days. So they venture back out into the snow. They take refuge in Sanctuary when the snow starts to get really bad. And then they say, well, we got to cross over the border, cross the river. We can't take our horses and stuff. So goodbye, horses. We'll just leave them behind. Good luck to them. Although I'm sure that they left them in Sanctuary, like indoors. They're gonna need some food and stuff. Maybe they left them food, things like that. I would hope so, because horses are a huge asset for everything. So hopefully they left the horses and with some food and stuff, and then went on their own. Because I mean, animals survive outside like year round. I don't think horses go into caves to hibernate during the winter or anything like that. But I also don't know if horses really end up in snowstorms and stuff. I think they travel to places that aren't as cold, maybe. Maybe not. I mean, horses like just run around and go wherever they want if they're not in captivity, don't they? I think so. Anyway, there's this cool movie. I think I did an episode about it a long time ago, like 3 years ago, maybe. And I don't even remember the name of it, but it was about like riding or like escorting. I don't know what they're doing. I guess they were riding wild horses from Mexico to Canada, like from Baja, Mexico, Baja California, up the coast to Canada or something. I forget where they were. Maybe they started in Texas. I don't know, but it was a pretty interesting movie. I saw it in the theaters because I had Movie Pass at the time. So I guess horses will go up north. I think it was they think they did it in the summer or something though. Anyway, that's what that group's doing. Meanwhile, at Alexandria, they're like, this all this sucks. The snow is awful. The snow is much worse where they are during this whole episode. So they end up in the barn, I think. And so Negan is with them, of course. So everybody from Alexandria is there except for Aaron and Michonne, who are with the Kingdom, getting them over there. And they realize the thing with the fire. The chimney the flume in the chimney is blocked up, so they can't light a fire in there. So they're like, well, let's get over to Aaron's house. He's not there. We won't tell him we were in here. It's going to be crowded and all that. So they tie themselves all together. They all have a rope, but as they're doing that, Judith runs off to go and save Dog, and Negan runs off to go and save Judith. which he does, which is nice. His leg gets hurt when he does it, but he gets hit by some debris. But he saves Judith. He saves the dog, or just dog. He's the dog named Dog, and a little bit of redemption for Negan. When the folks finally get there, Michonne says thank you and all of that, and we get a kind of idea of what's to come. He says, what does he say? Common enemy brings a common goal, and then Michonne says, well, maybe facing evil brings the best people together or something like that. He says, well, same thing, but nobody ever thinks that they're the evil, that they're the bad guys. So that was interesting. I don't think our main characters are the bad guys now. I think there have been times before when they're absolutely the bad guys. Pretty much whenever they're taking over a new place, which we probably won't see happen soon, but they are going to be destroying while going to war with these whisperers, I think. Because then we see a nice, not snowy environment where Alpha and Beta are with the rest of the whisperers, and they're talking about, like, hey, it was good to get away for a while. And then she gets whipped in the arm as self-punishment for being weak and stuff. This whole episode, as the kingdom we're going, Lydia is really struggling. She just thinks that everything is her fault, and she almost gets a walker that's frozen in the snow to bite her. But Carol comes upon her, and that doesn't happen. And then later on, when they're trying to cross the river, and all the walkers are coming out from the ground, from the snow, which was pretty cool. Lydia goes off again and urges Carol to kill her, so that nobody else has to die because of her and all of that. But the thing with that is that you have to, if the Whisperers are going to keep coming after them because Lydia is there with them, then how does that help them? How are they going to know that information that she's no longer with them? And how would that information not make Alpha even more upset, more angry, more vengeful, that her daughter is now dead? Or maybe it's not even about her anymore. I don't know. She just wants to get back at these people who she thinks sucks. So yeah, all of that was really good. I like this episode so much. But then they get back there, and we see this conversation between Ezekiel and Judith over the radios, and that was kind of cool. It's kind of the bookends of the episode is Ezekiel on the radio, but they both sign off their nights, and then we hear a voice on the radio. I couldn't tell what they were saying, but because it's like really broken up and stuff. It sounds like a lot of the discussion online is that it's probably Jadis from the Trash Folks, whatever their names. What was that group of people's names? Who, as we the audience knows, whisked Rick away on a helicopter. So that'll be really interesting. That's the final image and sound, the image of the radio and the sound of that voice on the radio, and then credits. And yeah, if that's whoever it is, I thought that was an awesome way to end this season. I think it's it's the most like a Lost season finale kind of thing. It really gave me that feel, and I like that a lot. It's not this. That's like a real cliffhanger. It's like a cliffhanger that you're not like, oh, come on. We know somebody's about to get their head smashed in, so we're going to wait, 6 months till the next season starts to find out. That's not a fun cliffhanger. This kind of cliffhanger is fun because we get resolution on a lot of stuff. We have things set in motion for the future. There's a lot open about it, and we don't have to be sitting there like, well, look at this frame here. You can tell that blah blah blah. That it's going to be that person who dies at the beginning of the next episode or something like that. which is a whole different kind of thing. So I really really like this ending. I like this episode as a whole, especially the Negan stuff. He's giving crap to Sadiq and Eugene and Gabriel and Rosita. Their love quadrangle there. They're the truly modern family. You know, 3 guys, a girl, and a baby. The baby hasn't been born yet, but Dr. Baby Mama, we got the father, not the father, and just Eugene, who Negan has missed. I'm excited to see what happens next. All of these, like all the new characters, well, a bunch of them died last episode, but like Lydia, I'm starting to care about her. Of course, we have a little ass kicker, Judith. I really like her. Like when Michonne gets there and her face is like red, and Michonne is like, "What happened?" And Judith just says, "It's cold." What are you talking about? I love that. But Judith taking care of her little brother RJ, I think that was really great. And then the snowball fights with Daryl and Michonne and the kids, including Lydia. Oh, that was really good. And it was nice to have like nobody died in this episode, which was good. It was a good change. It changed from last episode. I think it's nice to not have anybody die for one episode, especially if it's the season finale, because there's so much happened in the previous one. We got the reflection, like we're not just left like oh my god. We get kind of a resolution to that it's kind of like a memorial at the beginning of this episode, which is nice. And you know, it had a bit of fun. Like oh my gosh, I just remember Daryl killing the one walker with an icicle. That was amazing, but it was like intermixed with that really tense scene between Lydia and Carol, and yeah, and then Carol and Ezekiel are split up now because he stayed at Hilltop, and Carol went on with them, and it kind of seems like Carol and Daryl are now like the surrogate parents of Lydia. They're kind of looking after her, giving her guidance and stuff. So yeah, I really like this episode, and I can't really even remember any particular events from this being from the comics necessarily. This just seems more like a you know, tying everything together and moving it forward into the next phase that we'll get, and I'm excited to see what happens next. It's going to be if next season is as good as this half of the season has been, which I'm certain it will be, because now like everything is pretty much like set on this track now. Like the last bits and pieces of this season like fell into place in this episode. They're like, okay, now we're ready to go forward into this next thing. We got rid of all the baggage from the past here. Although we may be setting up for some of that baggage to be coming back if it is Jadis on the radio and stuff like that. But that's for the movies starring Rick Grimes. That's for those to handle those bits and pieces from the past, because we can just still keep focused on who's currently on the show, and I'm excited for that. So yeah, I think that's about it. I really liked it. It is not my favorite episode of the season. I say that. Also the titles. I haven't looked at the list of the titles of all the episodes. Actually, I'm going to look at that right now. At least these last 2 episodes, I appreciate that they make a sentence. The calm before was episode 15, and then the storm is episode 16. So we get that common phrase there. Walking Dead. Let's look up episodes. So yeah, all the other episode names They don't make a sentence. They're just relevant to what's going on in the episode, which I appreciate. But if we read them all through, okay, we have a new beginning, the bridge, warning signs, the obliged, what comes after, who are you now, Stradivarius, evolution, adaptation, Omega, bounty, guardians, choke point, scars, the calm before the storm. Who are you now? I think, is that a song lyric? I think it might be. But anyway, great season. You know, not the most exciting finale, but I thought it was very satisfying. And it was a good, like, breather after the intense previous episode. So I dig it. Congratulations to everybody who was a part of making this season happen. It did very, very well this time around, and I'm excited to see what continues in the future. So let me know what you thought about this episode and this season of The Walking Dead. At some point, I'm going to go back and watch Fear the Walking Dead. I think I'm still on season 2. So, you know, when they're on the boat and whatnot. So I've heard it's not that great maybe, but I do like some of the characters a lot. And I think most of them are still on the show. I don't know. And of course, spoilers, Morgan left here and he's now on Fear the Walking Dead. So I know he's over there and he's pretty cool. So I'll watch it at some point. But until then, I'm gonna try this Game of Thrones thing. I have the first 4 seasons, 5 seasons. Is it 5 over there? I have the first 5 seasons, and I have HBO Go also. So I can watch all of the current seasons until before the new season starts. So I might do that. I don't think I'll do an episode by episode. That kind of like imploded my rewatch of The Shield and Lost. That I was gonna do an episode for every episode that I watched, and I realized that's kind of a lot. I stopped after 1 episode for both of them. That's part of the reason. I just, you know, it's a big commitment to do that. So I'm not gonna do episodes about Game of Thrones because there's enough of those. I mean, there's enough of the Walking Dead podcast episodes anyway. I don't need to do that for Game of Thrones also, but I think I might do like a season, like a podcast for after I finish watching each season. Just kind of, you know, get my thoughts out there, and if I'm digging it anyway. I've tried watching it like 3 or 4 times now. Every single time I only watch the first episode, and then that's it. So I've seen the first episode a bunch. I still don't remember exactly. Someone like gets pushed out of a window or something. But yeah, so maybe stay tuned for that. But for right now, there's a couple more episodes before I head out to New York. We've got Raw and SmackDown and NXT UK, of course, all of those, and Survivor this week. Stay tuned for that. And I still haven't watched the latest Doom Patrol, which is Therapy Patrol, episode 7. All of that I'll be posting before I head to New York. And then from New York, I will only, if I even have time and the energy, I'll be posting all my episodes talking about NXT TakeOver, WrestleMania Access, WrestleMania itself, and Raw and SmackDown there in Brooklyn, New York. I'm super excited for it. It's going to be an awesome weekend. WrestleMania last year was really cool. This is going to be a really different experience because last year it was in New Orleans, and I rented a car and I was like driving all over the place. I went to a bunch of other shows. I am going to see a Shimmer show on Friday during the day. I'm pretty excited for that. But other than that, it's all WWE stuff. So stay tuned for all of that. So head over to Twitter and Instagram, wherever, at TIW Podcast. Go to tiwpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. And I'll be back real soon with whatever's next. Thanks for listening. This has been TIW Podcast. Bye.